Hi there, class. How are you today? I hope everyone is doing great. Before we start to our main lesson, how did you find the activities we did earlier? The one where you observed the sky and matched the weather instruments. Was it fun? What did you notice outside? Was it sunny, windy, rainy, or maybe cloudy? That's great to hear! Now, can anyone guess what our topic for today will be based on those activities? Yes, you got it right! Our topic for today is weather and weather instrument. So let's start with a simple question. What is weather? Weather describes the current state of our atmosphere in a specific place. It tells us whether it's sunny, rainy, windy, or cloudy at a certain time. For example, when you say it's raining outside or it's hot today, you're actually describing the weather. Now, what are weather components and weather instruments? Weather components are the conditions we observe, like temperature, wind, and rain. On the other hand, weather instruments are the tools or devices we use to measure those conditions. These tools help us know what's happening in the sky so we can prepare for different kinds of weather. So, before we continue, I want you to watch a short video clip first. In this video, pay close attention to what happens when it rains and how we can measure the amount of rain that falls. Are you ready? Let's watch together.
Today I'm going to show you some weather instruments that tell us about precipitation and humidity. And by the end of this video, you will know all about these magical instruments. Let's get started. Rain gauge. The rain gauge is an instrument that measures precipitation, or water in the form of rain, snow, or hail that falls from the sky. There are several types of rain gauges, but this one is the simplest. It's a container that you put in a flat, open area to collect rainwater. It has an open top to let water in. After it rains, you measure the water in the container and record the total amount of rain that fell. When we look at a rain gauge, we can see the marks on the side. They indicate the amount of precipitation that fell. If meteorologists see that it has rained a lot, they can predict floods. If, on the other hand, meteorologists see that it has rained very little, they can predict droughts. Did you know that droughts can happen because of global warming? When the Earth warms up, it can affect normal rainfall patterns, so some places don't get as much rain as they need. That's why it's super important to avoid climate change by taking care of the planet. So don't forget to watch your water consumption. Every drop counts.
Did you see that? Wow! That was interesting, right? The video showed us how rain falls from the clouds and how a rain gauge is used to collect and measure it. This brings us to our next topic, precipitation. Precipitation is the water that falls to the ground as rain or snow. To measure how much rain has fallen, we use a weather instrument called a rain gauge. A rain gauge measures the amount of rainfall in a specific period of time. It's like a little cup that catches the rain so we can know exactly how much water fell from the sky today. Pretty amazing, right? With tools like the rain gauge, scientists can study rainfall and even predict floods and droughts. Now that we've learned about precipitation and the rain gauge, let's see how well you understand our lesson. I have a few simple questions for you to think about. Just type your answer in the comment section below, okay? So, question number 1. What activities do you avoid when it's raining? For example, Do you still play outside or biking when it's raining? Think about it and share your answer in the comments. Question number 2. How does the rain gauge help us prepare for floods? Think about what happens when we know how much rain has fallen. How can that information help us stay safe? Don't forget to write your answer in the comment section below. I'll be checking your answers, so make sure to do your best.
So the next one is humidity. Humidity is the amount of moisture in the air which measured by a hygrometer.
Hygrometer. A hygrometer is an instrument that measures relative humidity, which is the amount of water vapor that the air can contain. What does this mean? Imagine that relative humidity is like a giant sponge in the air. The sponge can absorb water. If the sponge is really wet, we say that the relative humidity is high. But if the sponge is only a little wet, the relative humidity is low. Hygrometers help us to know how much water is in the sponge or the air. Most hygrometers today are digital and use sensors, but the simplest ones work by a material such as cloth or paper in a frame that's connected to a needle. When there is high humidity, the material expands, and in a dry environment, it shrinks. The expansion or shrinking moves the needle to point to the percentage of relative humidity. Indoors, a relative humidity of anywhere from 30 to 60% is recommendable. Here we can see that the hygrometer needle points to 50, which means that the relative humidity is 50%. Okay! Outdoors, if there is high relative humidity, it can cause the heat or cold to feel more extreme. High relative humidity can also suggest that it is going to rain or even storm.
Hygrometer uses a pair of thermometers where one bulb is open to the air and the other has a bulb covered in a wet cloth. This causes evaporation in the wet bulb and loss of heat.
Today we will learn about some weather instruments that give information about the wind. Weather vane. The weather vane is a weather instrument that we put in high places, like on the roofs of houses. It helps us to know the wind direction. Weather vanes usually have a decorative figure on top. Surely you've seen one that looks like a rooster. But the important thing is the arrow that moves and shows us the direction of the wind. On weather vanes, we also find the directions north, south, east, and west. These stay still, and when it is windy, the arrow moves and points in the direction of the wind. Did you know that the important thing is not to know where the wind is going, but where it's coming from? This helps us to predict the weather. For example, in some places, certain winds can bring rain or dry weather. Interesting, right?
I will show you how wind vane works. So I have here a homemade anemometer, but I added at the top to look like a wind vane. So if arrowhead pointed at the north, it's called north wind. If the arrowhead is like blowing between the wind pointed at the east, it's called east wind. If we say both pointed in the north and east, we also easily say that the wind blowing into northeast.
Anemometer. The anemometer is a weather instrument that measures wind speed or strength over a period of time. The most common anemometers have little cups that turn when the wind blows. The faster they turn, the higher the wind speed. Wind speed can be measured in various units of measurement, for example, in miles per hour or knots, which is the measurement used in sailing.
Proceed to anemometer. As you can see, I remove at the top of the example of wind vane, and now it's become a DIY or homemade anemometer. It's look like a windmill but horizontal version. And how it works? Since the air is not facing her, so I will blowing it just to sure and you will get it. Okay? And that's how it works. Why it's turning around? Because this cup is catching air. This cup catch air just to turn around and to identify how wind or how fast the wind are or the speed of the wind. Here are the example of wind stand. Since I don't have enough materials to use, I made this. When the blow of the winds comes there, these plastics will go like that, just like this. If the wind will blow up there, the plastic will go like that. An example is like this. So before we proceed, I have here a questions to know if you understand the lesson. To answer it, just drop it to the comment below. So the question is, number 1, if the arrow of the wind vane is pointing to the east, what do you call the wind? Number 2, how do you know if the wind is strong or weak? And number 3, why do we need to know the wind direction?
As you know, thermometers measure temperature. But today, we're going to talk specifically about thermometers that measure the temperature of the air. Older thermometers had dark-colored alcohol, or mercury inside, which went up or down depending on the temperature of the surrounding air. Today, most thermometers are digital and measure temperature using electronic sensors. They usually give more accurate and faster readings than traditional thermometers. Usually, thermometers measure air temperature in degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit, depending on the country.
One is temperature. So what is temperature? Temperature is a degree of hotness or coldness on a definite scale of air around us. Places near the equator have high temperature because they receive direct rays of sun. The time of the day and time of year also affect the air temperature. So we use instrument to know our temperature. First is the thermometer. So I have thermometer here. Let's wait. So this is thermometer. I hope you can see it clearly. So this is thermometer. So thermometer is used to measure air temperature. A room thermometer may bear the Fahrenheit, the Celsius scale, or both. Air temperature is typically read in degrees Celsius, while the Fahrenheit scale is mainly used in the United States. So as you can see, thermometer, have you noticed? I know all of you might see this because thermometer is really, every one of us have thermometer at home because when we are sick, like fever, our parents will use thermometer to check our body temperature. So how will you use thermometer? When you use thermometer like this is wrong. This is not correct way of using thermometer. You're supposed to put it here. Wait a minute. Put it here inside here, and then now in your underarm. When it beat, that's mean you already have your body temperature. So we're gonna know if you're gonna know how hot your body is or how cold your body is. That is the use of thermometer. The next one is also use traditional thermometer. It's called the liquid in glass. So this thermometer has a glass tube sealed with both ends, and it partly filled with liquid like mercury or alcohol. As the environment becomes hotter, the liquid inside the thermometer expands, causing a rise of liquid level, liquid level in the glass tube. So that's how the traditional thermometer worked back then, and it's called liquid in glass. So the next one is the infrared thermometer. This thermometer is the non-contact thermometer. So it is a thermometer which measure temperature from the specific surface, specific surface portion of an object at a safe distance. The thermometer will compare the heat emitted by the object with the surroundings. So, can you still remember? Go back to COVID-19. I know all of you will already see or so already know what is infrared thermometer is, because infrared thermometer has been used in COVID-19. Have you do you still remember when you go to the mall or to school to pass your activities or modules, the guard will gonna check your temperature, and they use like a gun and pointed to your forehead, and when they pointed to your head, it didn't touch your forehead, but it's still half distance. So that means this is the non-contact thermometer, the infrared thermometer. It just pointed at your forehead and they will know your body temperature, how cold or how hot your body is. Because back then to COVID-19, we are prohibited to have contact or close contact to anyone because of the COVID-19, they might have or you will might infected. Well, of course, for our safety, we follow that. We do have 1 meter distance. We use face mask, face shield, and we check our body temperature. We use of infrared thermometer. The frontliners didn't use this thermometer, because when you use it, then this thermometer will gonna throw or it become trash because of the COVID-19. It already used to anyone, so this is not safe anymore. So that's why they used infrared thermometer. Just pointed at your forehead, just pointed, not even, it didn't touch your forehead, just pointed. Then you will know your temperature. I think even in your arms here will know your temperature. So that is temperature. So we use, again, to know your temperature, we use thermometer. The first one is thermometer. The second one is the traditional one. It's called liquid in glass. And the third one is the infrared thermometer that we use. Go back to COVID-19, the non-contact thermometer. So for you to really know, I want to ask a question, and I want you to answer honestly. So what instrument do we use to measure temperature? Again, what instrument do we use to measure temperature? Correct. We can use thermometer, and might some of you answer infrared thermometer. Thermometer. The first one answer thermometer, and then infrared thermometer, and even the traditional thermometer, which is called liquid in glass. So that is correct, children. Next question. What do we usually wear when the weather is hot? What do you think? What do we usually wear when the weather is hot? Might some of you wear comfortable clothes like t-shirts for boys, and some girls use t-shirts and then have their comfortable t-shirt also. And then why do you think you wear that? It's because when it's so hot, you need to wear comfortable. The third question is why why do we need to measure temperature before going outside? Again, why do we need to measure temperature before going outside? You might answer that it will help us to know what to wear or what activities are safe to do. And that is correct. And then also, why do we need, again, and also it helps us, like when we know our temperature, when you know the temperature, like we know it's so hot, so when your body temperature is hot, don't wear jacket because it's not comfortable, so use t-shirt. So of course, when you know temperature outside, when it's too hot, well, of course, you will know what activities are good at. So when the activity, when outside is like it's sunny day, so it's really good. What do you think the activities will good to do or to play? Well, of course, the Chinese garter that we usually like, and also patentero, so that is good. When outside the temperature outside is cold, like rainy day or two, like rainy day, so of course patentero is not good activity for you because you might get injured because the ground will become slippery. That can get injury for you, like it's not good for you. So I think all of you understand what is temperature and what instrument do we use to know temperature.
Remember I told you before that the air is heavy? But how can we measure it? With a barometer. The barometer is a weather instrument that measures atmospheric pressure. What is atmospheric pressure? I'll tell you. The atmosphere is like a big blanket of air that covers all of Earth. We can't see it, but it's always there. Atmospheric pressure is the weight of that blanket of air that we feel pushing down on us. But that weight, or atmospheric pressure, changes depending on where we are and the weather conditions. On a clear sunny day, the blanket of air weighs more and presses down harder on the earth, so we can say that high pressure means good weather. On a rainy and stormy day, the blanket of air weighs less because the air is lighter and rises, forming clouds and rain. Low atmospheric pressure means bad weather. Barometers help us measure how much this blanket of air weighs at a particular time and place.
Well, gonna move to pressure. So what is pressure? Pressure is a weight of force that is produced when something presses or pushes against something else. Again, air pressure is the weight of the air pushing down on everything around us. Even though we don't feel it, air has weight. You believe that air has weight? Even you cannot see it, air, it really does weight. So why do you think it matters? So, changes in the air pressure can tell us what kind of weather to expect. That is very important. That's why it matters. So how will you measure air pressure? Well, of course, we're gonna use barometer. As you can see the screen, that is barometer. So it is a scientific instrument that is used to measure air pressure in a certain environment. The level of liquid inside it will indicate several pressure changes caused by the weather elements. So, like this barometer this instrument will use to measure air pressure. So you will gonna know what kind of weather to expect. So when you use barometer, have you noticed in our phone, there's a specific kind, there are a specific weather to expect. Like, try to check it right now. Might be they put their today we're gonna have rainy day, or today will sunny day. So that is the use of barometer to tell us what kind of weather to expect. So we will know that today is going to rain, or tomorrow is going to rain, or it might be sunny. So that is the use of barometer. So for you to understand, really, I want to ask you, if you really listen to me, what do you think happens when the air pressure changes? Again, what do you think happens when the air pressure changes? Very good. Some of you will gonna answer that there will be changes in weather, like it might rain or become windy. So when today is rainy, so the weather change, so it becomes sunny. That is weather changes. Or the air pressure change. That is. So the next one is why it is important to measure air pressure. Why it is important to measure air pressure. Very good, class. So to prepare, what it is important, because you can prepare for any changes in the weather. Well, of course, some of you might, like, when you have a plan tomorrow to have an activity outdoor, but you know that tomorrow is going to rain, so you're gonna change your plan. Like, you might eat like you're going the activity today or the next other day, because it's not good, because the activity you choose is not good for tomorrow weather. That's why it's important. It's why it's matter. So again, it's matter because the changes in air pressure can tell us what kind of weather to expect. So you will know. So you have, if you know, you will gonna know what's gonna happen or what's weather you expect. So like, already that tomorrow will going to rain. So of course you're gonna wash your clothes today, and that because today is a sunny day, so you are gonna wash your clothes and hang there outside, and then you will get it when it's dry. So do not put it tomorrow. You don't have to wait to wash your clothes tomorrow, because you know that it's going to rain, and might your clothes not going to dry. For some of you that don't have washing machine and dryer at home, and for those have the other example, like you know that it's going to rain tomorrow, so you will going to, when you go outside tomorrow, you will bring your umbrella or your raincoat for you to not get wet in the rain. So that's how important to know or to measure air pressure. So I hope you learn what is temperature and pressure.
So, there are 4 types of clouds. The first one is the cirrus clouds. Cirrus clouds are usually thin and feathery clouds that you can see up in the sky. Based on a picture, they look soft and light like strokes of paint. And when you see these types of clouds, it usually means that there's fair weather. And the next type of cloud is the stratus clouds. Alright, look at the picture. So as you can see, the stratus clouds form in flat, gray layers that stretch across the sky. And sometimes these types of clouds bring light rain or drizzle. So, when the clouds appear grayish or bluish and are low and thick enough to hide the sun, those clouds are again called stratus clouds. And Have you ever seen big, fluffy white clouds that looks like balls or marshmallows? Alright, those are called cumulus clouds. These types of clouds appear on bright and sunny days and often mean a nice weather. And when clouds turn dark and thick, watch out! These are nimbus clouds. What are nimbus clouds? Well, nimbus clouds are also called as rain clouds. So as you can see in the picture, they look very dark and look heavy as well. And when you see these types of clouds and you plan to go outside, don't forget to bring your umbrella, as these types of clouds will bring rain and thunderstorm. Hooray! We're done knowing the different cloud formations. Now I want you to reflect the following questions on your end. Which type of cloud do you usually see? Is it the cumulus clouds, the stratus clouds, or the nimbus clouds? And how can clouds tell us what kind of weather is coming? Hooray! We're done knowing the cloud formations. And now, let's move on onto something that helps us record and understand what's happening up in the sky. That is right! The weather chart. A weather chart is very useful as it is a tool that we make use so that we can keep track of the different weather each day. And it shows the weather components such as the temperature, the wind, the rainfall, the clouds, so we can observe the weather changes over time. So that is an example of a weather chart. For example, in January 29 at Cebu, 7 a.m., the wind speed is moderate and the wind direction is east. The temperature is 22 degrees Celsius and the sky condition is fair to cloudy. The second example is on February 15 in Cebu, 7 a.m. The wind speed is light and the wind direction is north and the temperature is 29 degrees Celsius. So the sky condition is clear. So the weather chart contains weather components which determine the weather condition at any given time. Question: why is it important? So as we know, we all love outdoor activities only if we have fine weather. So the field trips, kite flying, sports, and camping are rarely held during rainy days. That's why the weather helps you decide what games or activities you do. And aside from that, the information and knowledge on weather forecast for the day also helps us make necessary precautions. Oh, the image shows a sunny day. The sky is clear, the sun is bright, and it feels warm outside. What do we do? So usually, during sunny days, we wear light, thin clothes and eat cold foods like ice cream, shakes, and others. And we also need to drink a lot of water so that we will keep ourselves hydrated. How about you? What do you think or other things that we need to do during sunny days? Oh no! The picture shows rainy days. The clouds are thick and heavy. What do we do? So, on rainy days, we usually wear thick clothes and eat warm foods. We also avoid playing on the rain to avoid colds. And aside from that, we also use raincoats and umbrellas to keep ourselves safe when we need to go outside. How about you? What will you do during rainy days? Oh, the picture shows windy days. They're strongly moving around. What will you do? But aside from that, we should be very careful with a fire during windy days as it is unsafe. We have to avoid burning leaves or dry leaves and avoid playing with fire during these times. How about you? What are the things that you need to do and not do during windy days? Congratulations everyone! We're done talking about the weather. its instrument, the components, and also the charts. And with that, I want you to reflect with the following questions. The first one is, what new information did you learn about weather instruments? The second question is, how can knowing the weather instruments keep us safe? Which safety precaution do you think is most important during sunny, rainy, or windy days? And why do you think so? Understanding the weather helps us protect ourselves, our families, and our community. So the next time you look up, take a moment. Observe the clouds, feel the wind, and think, what kind of weather might be coming today? Because you know what? Why? Being weather wise is being smart, safe, and prepared.